where the quiet mind comes in and you're just listening to what is going to come into your head and just try to react as the conversation goes. There's no script here. And the flow state happens, basically throughout your day. We don't realize it, whether we're driving, cooking, baking, eating, playing a sport, whatever we're doing, we're really kind of tapping into that flow state of mind and just having an intuitive way of life. We're just being guided.
Yeah, we are. We're just being guided by mind. And you're right. I thank you for showing and sharing that perspective that, yeah, there's so many things we do that's just a flow state. That's
Yeah.
just from clarity of mind that we don't have to put, actual thought into or concentration. Let's use that word instead. Such as cooking, something you've cooked a
Yeah.
hundred times. You don't really need to think about it, right? You just kind of go through the flow. Or like if you're grilling, barbecuing, it's just something that we do. Baking, driving, we I think we've talked about, before in it doesn't matter where we talked about it, but like driving, we get to
Yeah.
a point where we don't think about it, right? We don't have to tell our brain to press the gas, and we don't have to say, okay, brain, let's make sure that we're going 55 and not 56 miles an hour. It's, and we don't have to say, oh my gosh, the road's turning a little bit to the right. Make sure we turn, we just do it effortlessly in that flow because it's unconscious at that point.
Yeah, even when we're in the car, we don't realize how big the car is, and we're just kind of naturally it becomes one with us, and we're just driving, we're cruising along, and it's just part of our trip to go to the grocery store, pick up the kids, and go to parties, whatever it may be. So it's all part of the intuitive, the wisdom side of it too.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up the word intuitive because yeah, that's kind of a little bit about what Aaron and I wanted to talk about today is intuition. So intuition, right? We've heard that term many, many times, probably more so than we've heard the term innate wisdom, right? Or universal mind or mind, thought, and consciousness as the three principles. Intuition is a word that I think it's fair to say that most of us are pretty familiar with. And so, yeah, I just kind of want to talk a little bit about that and, maybe open up that door to seeing, or let's say that window to seeing that what your intuition is, your intuition is really, now I know, is really just your innate wisdom that you were born with,
Yeah,
you know?
it's your own GPS system, right?
Absolutely. It's our own little GPS and our navigational guide. And it's fine to call it wisdom because, I'll tell you a quick story. This is a
Yeah.
long time ago. Long. We'll leave it at that. I don't have to put the year on it, right? It was a long time ago. And I'm just gonna show what kind of teenager I was. So my brother and I were skipping class.
Not
Yeah,
you.
right. And we were in high school and we were skipping class and we were driving on a road. He was driving, I was the passenger. We were driving on a road highway that we normally drive on, okay? And we're following this guy that has a big, huge flatbed trailer that has a backhoe. For anybody that doesn't know what
Mhm.
that is, it's a huge piece of operational, heavy equipment to dig ditches and actually,
Yeah.
more like a pond. It moves a lot of dirt, let's put it that way. Anyway, this guy was carrying this, or I should say, hauling this flatbed trailer with the backhoe on it, and my brother and I were right behind him, right, and we're seriously a mile from our exit that we're getting off on, and the guy in front of us, he's going the speed limit, in fact, maybe just a teeny over, nothing, not massive speeding or anything, just fine, right? And all of a sudden, my brother gets in the passing lane and he passes them, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I don't know. I just feel like I need to pass him." And I was like, "Okay, I was kind of a rude teenager, okay?" And I'm like, Whatever." So he passes them, we get in front of him pretty much just in time to make our exit. But the second we got in front of this guy, the chains that were holding that backhoe snapped.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And now
Oh,
I don't know. I hope the driver was okay. I think that he was, from what I can recall. Um, but the chain snapped. The the truck and the trailer jackknifed, and that backhoe went flying straight off the back. We pulled over. Okay, we
wow.
were at our exit ramp. We pulled over, and I looked right at him, and I said, "Why did you get over?" Like 100 times, I kept asking him, What made you get over? What made you get over?" He's like, "I don't know. I just had a feeling. I just had a feeling." You know. So in telling that story, when I was younger and then not knowing the principles, right? I would say he just had this intuition. But now I can see that that was mind, number one, first and foremost. And it was mind speaking through wisdom, saying, "Hey, pass this guy." Thankfully, he listened.
Yeah.
But
Oh my God.
isn't that crazy? We sat there, I don't even know how long, Aaron. We sat there for a long time,
Yeah.
just in complete awe.
That hit me with your story.
It was crazy. It was okay. It was like 30 years ago, and I can
Wow.
see it in my mind perfectly how it went down. And now I just know that when I refer to mind, guys, in case you don't know, because I know I've talked a lot about thought more than anything, but mind is the universal intelligence that has our back. And yeah, that's now I know, and that's a beautiful example of mind having our back and speaking to us through wisdom. Sorry, go ahead.
What comes to mind when I think of that story, Crystal, is that now it seems like you two were in a comfortable place being able to listen to that little nudge saying, hey, it's time to pass, you need to get moving. Whereas if you guys were arguing and your mind was full of that conversation that wasn't healthy, or you two were just in a good space together in a relationship, brought that awareness to you and it said, "Hey, it's just time to go. Just get moving, right? Get on your horse, get past." And you heard that little nudge to go, "Okay, it's time to get by. It's okay. Like you don't, let's get moving." But you were able to hear that because your mind was clear.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a fabulous point to make,
Yeah,
and not playing the what if game. But yeah, no, what a good point, because what if we were arguing in that time?
yeah,
My brother and I, for the most part, got along fabulously. The best of
right.
friends. We're only 15 months apart. So,
Mhm.
um, we got along great.
Yeah,
But yeah, you're absolutely right. What if we would have been arguing over something, or just, I don't know, we didn't have phones back then, thank goodness, right? Because like our face could have been on our phone instead. Like it happens a lot nowadays. Um, but yeah, no, that's a great point. It was that quiet space, and oftentimes people don't realize that when they are driving, not for everybody, but for a lot of people when they're driving, that is one way that our mind does quiet down.
yeah. You hear that often, right? You say, "I got to go for a ride." It's
Yeah,
just quiet, or it's easy and it's kind of relaxing, and I just kind of settle into my day, or they like their ride to work because it's just so easy for them, right?
right. Yeah. Like
Hmm.
they like their commute to work, or yeah, you hear all the time. You know what? I'm just gonna go for a drive. I just need to go for a drive and clear my head.
Yeah.
not realizing that that's truly what is happening is your mind is slowing down, the thoughts aren't racing around. Not true obviously in every circumstance, but
Yeah.
in a
Mhm.
lot of them. That's a good point.
Yeah, you're jumping into your flow state, and that comes back to having a quiet mind because you're just it's natural. You've been driving for 30 years. Some of us we get, after years of driving, we get comfortable. And sometimes you go, how did I even get here?
Yeah,
And some will say that's anxiety, but some will say flow state. So it's depends on where your mind and your thinking is at, where you kind of realize that that's the quiet mind that you look for to kind of bring in that subtle nudges, as you call, wisdom or intuition, and that innate abilities to kind of just hear and not think. That's the best part. If we can find that state and not think about what we're doing, how we're preparing, even just this conversation, you just put it aside.
yeah. I really like how you said not think, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
for the most part, I feel like our entire lives we're taught, oh, you better think about it. You better think about
yeah,
that. And then
yeah,
we're in school and, it takes a lot of thinking, certain subjects, right? So it's almost like I don't know the word I'm looking for, but to say, not think. It's amazing. Yeah. Like you said, that's where we get our flow states, right? That's where we get our quiet mind and the effortless alignment to our innate wisdom and to our personal navigation system. And yep, that's
yeah.
beautiful.
This learning of the three P's and just mind consciousness and thought and innate well-being class has really kind of allowed me to really listen to myself and just be present. And I had a little bit of understanding with meditation and prayer previously, but when I started to really kind of understand that my well-being is so important, emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, it started to really kind of tap into the just intuitive listening and the wisdom within and just being guided and just saying, hey, listen, like I don't know the answer to this to this problem or the direction I need to go in life, and just offering up a solution, um, and letting that come to me naturally and trying to not think and process it so deeply that I get so consumed and anxious about the decision, right? So it's almost like reverse of what we were taught in conditioning. You want to process, you want to figure it out, but then when we let it go and give it up to the wisdom, we kind of hear the solution, we hear the answers, and that kind of goes back to your point about schooling. If we could just teach that, if you're present in class, you'll absorb what you need to absorb, and then you can kind of move into taking that test and trusting that that answer will come through intuitively through your wisdom. And, if that could be helped or taught or understood at a younger age, it would take us to a whole new level.
Absolutely.